Chosen one, God's hand is upon you. God's hand is here. Chosen one, something extraordinary has been unfolding around you, and more importantly, within you. You've felt the silent shift, haven't you? Not just an ordinary change, but a divine weight settling over your life. A presence, a calmness in the storm, a stillness in the noise. That's not your imagination, that's the weight of glory. That's the mark of the Creator. That's the unmistakable signal that God's hand is upon you now. Not later, not one day. Now, you are not here by accident. You didn't just stumble into this moment. Every single step, every delay, every betrayal, every pain has been divinely calculated to bring you here, right to this exact second. His hand has guided you through valleys you didn't think you'd survive and lifted you out of pits that should have consumed you. But here you are, awake, aware, chosen. So watch this video till the end, and if you feel it in your spirit, comment your warmest wishes below with the numbers 99 and 777, and subscribe for this glory journey that has only just begun. When God's hand is on you, you don't walk like everyone else. You don't think like everyone else. You don't need the validation they chase. You don't need the noise they worship. You begin to carry something eternal, something weighty, something unshakable. That's what's different about you. You've tried to blend in, but you were never meant to fit. You weren't made to follow. God's hand is on you because you were born to lead. There's a reason the road has been so rough. There's a reason the fight has been so fierce. The enemy never attacks the ordinary. He only attacks what's marked. And you, dear chosen one, are marked. That inner knowing you feel, that deep voice that has always whispered, "There's more for you." That's not fantasy. That's divine communication. That's the frequency of heaven speaking through the chaos. And that's why your soul has never been satisfied by what satisfies others. You were created for more, for depth, for divine alignment. You carry sacred instructions in your spirit, even if you don't fully understand them yet. That's the mystery of being chosen. You're guided by something you can't always explain, but you know it's real because it never leaves you. Many around you have misunderstood your process. They've judged your silence. They've misread your stillness. They don't realize that God has had you hidden, not because you're forgotten, but because you're protected. You've been covered. His hand has been shielding you from premature exposure. Your time in the shadows wasn't punishment, it was preparation. God has been refining your character, purifying your spirit, and molding your identity so that when He lifts you, you don't just rise, you radiate. The people who once dismissed you are going to witness your divine unfolding. They won't even recognize the version of you that's emerging. They'll wonder how you rose so quickly, how you stepped into the spotlight with such power, how your name began to carry such weight. But what they don't see is the hand behind the scenes, God's hand, the one that's been sculpting your spirit while no one was looking, the one that's been softening your heart, sharpening your discernment, and fueling your resilience. You didn't rise by luck, you rose by appointment. Chosen one, the shift happening in your life right now isn't random, it's a result of spiritual permission. Heaven has signed off on your next chapter. The doors that were once locked are beginning to respond to your presence. The people who ignored you are beginning to sense your elevation. The resistance is fading. The delays are lifting. That heavy feeling of almost but not yet is dissolving into breakthrough. All of this is confirmation that the hand of God is no longer just preparing you, it's promoting you. This is why the pressure intensified before this moment, because spiritual elevation always creates natural tension. When something divine is about to be revealed in you, The atmosphere around you will feel chaotic. But here's the truth. The enemy can only delay, not deny, what God has declared. And what has been declared over your life is irreversible. No amount of sabotage, gossip, delay, or confusion can erase the fingerprint of God on your destiny. Let them talk. Let them wonder. Let them watch. What's happening to you is beyond logic, beyond effort, beyond strategy. It's supernatural. God's hand is causing your name to be mentioned in rooms you've never entered. His favor is assigning angels to open doors you didn't even knock on. You are being aligned with opportunities that reflect your calling, not just your qualifications. This is not a season of striving. It's a season of receiving. Your soul is not just healing, it's awakening. The fog you've been walking through is clearing. Your vision is sharpening. Your confidence is returning. You're beginning to understand that you were never broken, you were being built. Every delay was construction. Every setback was foundation. Every tear was irrigation for the seeds you didn't know you planted. And now, finally, the bloom is beginning. The evidence is here. This is why you feel that inner fire, that persistent sense that something is about to break open. You are not wrong to believe that your moment is near. You're not being delusional. You're being prophetic. What you're sensing is real. The divine wind is behind you. You've spent years walking into storms, but now the wind is walking with you. Everything that's meant for you is beginning to recognize your frequency. The alignment is accelerating. The blessings are locating you. The light is finding you. And no, it doesn't mean everything will be easy. It means everything will be meaningful. You've entered the realm where even your obstacles are ordained. Even your trials carry treasure. Even your enemies serve a purpose. This is the clarity that comes when God's hand is upon you. You begin to trust the process even when it doesn't make sense. You begin to bless the battles because you know they're birthing boldness. You begin to walk through closed doors with peace because you know what's on the other side is greater than what you left behind. You are not who you were, and you're not yet who you're becoming. But God's hand is with you in the middle, in the in-between, in the transition. You are being carried by something eternal. You are not failing. You're forming. You are not behind. You're being aligned. And all of it, every second of it, is working together for your emergence. And this chosen one is only the beginning. You've been walking with a quiet strength, unnoticed by many, but never ignored by heaven. And now, the quiet is about to turn into a roar. Because when God's hand moves in your life, it does not whisper forever. It announces, it elevates, it unveils. The same hand that comforted you in the dark is now placing you in the light. The same hand that wiped your tears in private is now preparing to crown you in public. You've suffered long enough. You've sacrificed more than anyone knows. And now, a divine spotlight is turning toward you, not for fame, but for purpose. You've been asking why the isolation was so long, why the silence, why the separation. It's because God was setting the stage. He was removing distractions, cutting cords, and silencing unnecessary noise so you could finally hear what He's been whispering all along. You are mine. You are ready. You are rising. And now you see it. The signs, the symbols, the synchronicities. It's all divine choreography. Nothing has been accidental. Not the connections, not the rejections, not even the losses. They were all steps in the pattern. God's hand never moves without intention. You've been hand-shaped for something specific. A mission, a mantle, a movement. There's a weight you carry that others can't. because you've been trained by trials they never endured. That pain, it made you precise. That rejection, it refined your resilience. That confusion, it cleared your spirit. You were never being broken. You were being branded. You were being sealed by purpose. And now, the world is about to witness what heaven already declared. Your time has come. Some people won't understand this version of you. They still see you through the lens of your past. They still reference your old story. But they weren't there for the update. They didn't see the process. They didn't see the battles that shaped your voice, the heartbreaks that deepened your wisdom, the nights you cried out for clarity. They only see the fruit. They don't know the soil. But that's okay. This elevation is not for them. It's for those who need what you carry, for those who will be transformed by the overflow of your obedience. Chosen one, your voice is needed now. Not when you feel perfect, not when you have every answer. Now, because God doesn't use the flawless, He uses the faithful. And you've been faithful in silence, faithful in confusion, faithful when no one clapped for you. You kept moving, you kept believing, you kept listening. And now, heaven is responding to that perseverance. The stage has been set for your arrival. What's coming for you isn't small. It's not something you can control or predict. It's bigger than a plan. It's a movement, and you are the vessel. That's why your journey has felt so unusual. That's why your emotions have been stretching, breaking, expanding, because your capacity is growing. You're being made able to carry what's never been carried before. Your name is being tied to influence, not for vanity, but for visibility. You're being made visible for those who need to see someone who made it through. Someone who didn't fold under the fire. They thought you were done. They assumed the pressure broke you. But the truth is, it revealed you. The pressure didn't crush you. It birthed you. It woke up the divine DNA in your soul. It stripped away the false identities and revealed the royal within. And now, the King's hand is moving on your behalf, not just to bless you, but to commission you. Your story is not just yours. It's a map for someone else's breakthrough. You've been walking by faith when sight was blurry. You've chosen trust when logic screamed otherwise. That's not weakness. That's alignment. And that's why things are about to shift rapidly. Because obedience attracts acceleration. And you, chosen one, have been obedient in private. The reward that's coming won't just bless you. It'll shock those who watched you suffer. Because they saw the tears, but didn't hear the prayers. They saw the fall, but missed the rising. They counted you out, but they forgot who was counting with you. God's hand is not just upon you. It's within you. It's in the way you move now, the way you discern, the way you love, the way you endure. You're not the same anymore. You've become a carrier of divine instruction. You walk differently because you see differently. You speak with a weight that can't be imitated. You stand with a stillness that can't be shaken. You glow with a light that doesn't come from this world. And it's not because of something you did. It's because of who you are. You're the answered prayer of generations before you. The living proof of promises that seemed impossible. The walking evidence that grace still works. That favor is real. That purpose still finds its people. And now, as you enter this new season, know this: you don't have to force anything. The doors will open because your presence carries a key. The path will make room because your feet are ordered. The blessing will flow because your name is sealed with divine authority. You were built for this, and every day you chose not to quit was a brick in your foundation. Now the building begins. Now the vision manifests. Now the world sees what heaven has always known. You are chosen, covered, and called. You're not just being noticed. You're being positioned. There's a difference. Being noticed is temporary. Positioning is intentional. God is not elevating you for applause. He's elevating you for assignment. The platform being prepared for you isn't for performance, it's for purpose. You are not stepping into this next chapter to prove anyone wrong, but to prove your Creator right. Every moment of obedience, every silent yes you whispered in the dark, has echoed into this moment of alignment. Now the divine orchestration begins. You will see connections form that don't make sense to your mind, but will feel right in your spirit. You will walk into rooms that once felt too big and suddenly feel like they were waiting for you. You'll meet people who don't even know your past, but they'll recognize your presence. That's the glory on you. That's the mark of the hand that shaped you. God's hand does more than bless. It activates. And you're now being activated. Not in theory, in reality, in real time. Don't downplay what you've carried just because others didn't understand it. They weren't supposed to. The weight wasn't theirs. The vision wasn't theirs. The fire wasn't for them to feel. You've spent so long shrinking your light just to survive. But that time is over. You're no longer in survival mode. You've stepped into strategy, into stewardship, into sacred territory. You now understand that every delay wasn't just a hold. It was a holy setup. And now, the signs are increasing. Your discernment is sharpening. You're picking up on energies faster, recognizing divine timing more clearly, sensing the vibration of what aligns and what doesn't. That's not anxiety. That's spiritual intelligence. You've been upgraded. What used to confuse you now clarifies you. What used to trigger you now teaches you. What used to distract you no longer has access to you. You've been restructured internally, because external glory can only be carried by a soul prepared to hold it. The people who stayed with you in your drought will rejoice with you in your downpour. But the ones who left, let them go. Their exit was part of the equation. You're not called to carry everyone. You're called to walk faithfully. And the ones assigned to your destiny will meet you at the intersection of grace and purpose. They'll recognize your language, they'll feel your anointing, they'll know you by your fire. Because that's what you are now, a fire starter. A spark of divine inspiration. A reminder to the world that God's hand still chooses, still calls, still confirms. You've become a mirror of what happens when surrender meets destiny. And the world needs to see that. The world needs to see that obedience still opens doors, that healing is real, that transformation is possible, that a broken life can become a beautiful masterpiece in the hands of the divine. This is not a season of hiding. This is a season of holy boldness. No more apologizing for your fire. No more watering down your truth. No more explaining your elevation. Let your fruits speak. Let your presence declare what your words no longer need to prove. The hand of God has written your next chapter, and you don't need approval to turn the page. This journey has been anything but easy. There were days your soul felt heavy, your mind clouded, your future uncertain, but you kept going. You kept choosing light when darkness tried to win. You kept anchoring yourself in a hope others couldn't see. That's what makes you chosen. Not perfection, not appearance, persistence, conviction, depth. These are the elements God looks for when He lays His hand on someone. And now, you carry something rare. You've learned to walk with wisdom and war with worship. You've learned how to stand in the face of storms without losing your song. You've learned how to release control and embrace divine timing. And now you're ready, not just to receive, but to release. To release healing through your presence, peace through your words, clarity through your energy. You are the answer to someone's prayer, the sign someone has been looking for. The people who are about to enter your life won't be drawn to your appearance or your platform. They'll be drawn to your purity, to your truth, to the quiet strength you've cultivated in solitude. You won't need to market it. You won't need to convince them. Your spirit will speak louder than your lips ever could. Because when God's hand is truly on someone, it shows. You will no longer chase. What's meant for you is being magnetized to you. The resources, the relationships, the rest you've been praying for, they're arriving. You've graduated from a season of praying for crumbs into a season of commanding tables. The shift is complete. Your atmosphere has changed. The frequency of your life has leveled up. And anything or anyone not aligned with that frequency will fall away. Not because you're arrogant, but because you're anointed. People will begin to notice the peace on you, the calm in your spirit, the depth in your eyes, and they'll ask, "What happened to you?" And you'll smile, not out of pride, but out of peace. Because you'll know the answer isn't a what, it's a who. God's hand touched you. That's it. That's all. And that's more than enough. This is just the unfolding, the soft opening, the initial glow before the full shine. There's more coming. You feel it, don't you? The undeniable truth that you've barely scratched the surface. The confirmation in your gut that greater is not a concept. It's a calendar event. It's been scheduled, and you're about to walk into it. There's a holy momentum around you now. The atmosphere has shifted permanently. This is not a temporary blessing or a fleeting opportunity. It's a divine transition. What you're entering is not just a new season. It's a new identity, a new frequency, a new dimension of purpose. And with this shift, everything that isn't built for your next level is being removed, gently or forcefully. Because where God's hand is taking you, there can be no residue of who you used to be. You'll notice it. Certain conversations will no longer hold your attention. Old environments will begin to feel spiritually suffocating. People who once had access to your energy will start to distance themselves. Not because anything's wrong, but because your soul has outgrown their version of you. It's not rejection. It's refinement. It's realignment. It's God's hand pruning you so that the new fruit of your calling can flourish without interference. You'll begin to feel moments of silence, divine silence, not emptiness, but sacred space. You're being given room to hear instructions others can't receive. While the world rushes, you're being called to stillness. While others chase trends, you're being grounded in truth. While others perform, you're being purified. This is the hidden grace of God's hand. It not only promotes, but protects. It hides you when you need healing and reveals you when you're ready. You're entering a realm where your presence alone shifts the room. Your energy carries weight now. You don't even have to explain yourself like before. Your spirit is enough. People feel your clarity. They sense your depth. They notice your boundaries. You're not playing small anymore. And you're not seeking approval. You've learned to honor your own growth, to trust your own voice, and most of all, to recognize God's hand in the unseen. That recognition is a gift, because when you know who's been holding you, you no longer fear the unknown. You've walked through enough darkness to know where your light comes from. You've been emptied enough to know who fills you. You've been broken enough to understand what it means to be whole, not because everything is perfect, but because your soul is aligned, and from that alignment comes supernatural favor, wisdom, and strength. You're going to start seeing sudden clarity. Out of nowhere, ideas will drop into your spirit. Messages, visions, confirmations. They'll flood in with a frequency you've never experienced. That's how God moves when He's ready to manifest what He's been maturing inside you. What used to take months will now take days. What used to take days will take moments. You'll begin to walk into rooms and feel a sense of divine timing, like you were called there, not invited. That's because you were. You are being called into divine encounters, relationships that sharpen your soul, connections that breathe life into your purpose. You won't have to chase them. They'll find you, because they are assigned to your path. You've done the inner work. You've walked the wilderness. You've stood in faith when there was nothing to stand on but trust. Now the bridges are being built. Now the help is coming. Now the flow begins. And as you step into this, you'll notice a deep calm within you. Not the absence of storms, but the presence of peace. The peace that comes when you know you're exactly where you're supposed to be, even if others don't understand it. That's what being chosen feels like. It's not always comfortable. It's not always visible, but it is always holy. Because when God's hand is on you, you're never walking alone. You're being led, shielded, and strengthened, even when you don't realize it. The hand of God isn't just a force, it's a signature. It marks your life with undeniable grace. It causes things to work out for you that shouldn't have. It opens doors you didn't even knock on. It silences battles you didn't know were forming. It defends you behind the scenes. That's why some of your greatest victories won't be public. You'll feel them in your soul, in the way your heart stops racing, in the way your mind finds rest, in the way your spirit lifts for no visible reason. This is your new normal, walking in power without needing attention, moving in silence but leaving impact, loving without losing yourself, creating without copying anyone, speaking only when led, not for applause. That's what the hand of God produces in you, a holy confidence that doesn't need to be loud to be legendary. You will no longer be triggered by what used to distract you. You will no longer be pulled into wars that are beneath your calling. You've graduated from reaction to revelation, from survival to strategy, from hoping to knowing, from questioning to declaring. That's the result of the refining. That's the power of the press. What was once squeezing you is now shaping you, and you'll begin to see your past with new eyes, not with bitterness, but with blessing. You'll look back and understand why it had to be that hard, why the door had to close, why they had to walk away, why you had to feel so alone. It all created the capacity you're walking in now, the weight you're carrying now, the wisdom you hold now. God never wastes pain, and with His hand on your life, not a single moment was wasted. This is your time, not just to dream, but to do, not just to plan, but to execute. You are no longer in the preparation season. You are in the activation season. The words you speak now will carry power. The decisions you make will ripple in eternity. The legacy you're building is no longer in draft mode. It's publishing itself through every step you take in faith. You are no longer hidden. Heaven has revealed you. And what God reveals, no one can conceal. This is your release. You are no longer walking by the old timeline. The calendar you once lived by, defined by delay, discouragement, and disappointment, is no longer relevant. The rhythm of your life has shifted into divine time. This means things will no longer happen when others expect them to, or even when you expect them to. They'll happen when the Spirit says they're ready. And you'll know it. You'll feel it. The doors will swing open with such fluidity, you'll have no doubt it was orchestrated from above. There will be no striving in this season, no begging, no chasing, only becoming. Because becoming is your only responsibility now. Your alignment is the magnet. Your peace is the strategy. Your obedience is the key. When God's hand is on you, effort looks different. You're not pushing through resistance anymore. You're flowing through agreement. The right people, resources, and revelations will meet you on your path, not because you forced them, but because you finally stopped running from who you really are. And who you are is powerful beyond your own understanding. You were born with gifts that this world has tried to bury. But those gifts are now reawakening. You'll find yourself remembering things you forgot you loved, skills returning, passions reigniting, strength you thought you lost is rising again. This is resurrection of your voice, your creativity, your leadership, your authenticity. The real you, the one that got buried under pressure, comparison, and fear, is coming alive again. You'll begin to feel like yourself again, but not the version of you who merely survived. No, this is the version that is here to thrive. The version of you that remembers the vision, that trusts the process, that walks with grace, that refuses to explain any more. There's a wholeness forming in you, a completion, a full circle moment where you realize you've always been who you needed. You just needed time to become her or him. You just needed space to shed what you weren't. And now, that space is here. God has cleared the path. People who used to block you have removed themselves. Environments that limited you have collapsed. Cycles that once trapped you have broken. You're breathing a different air now. You're operating on a higher level now. The emotions that once owned you no longer run you. You've reclaimed your power, not by fighting harder, but by finally understanding who's been fighting for you. You'll begin to notice how nothing external can disturb what's been built within you. That's the glory of God's hand. It doesn't just protect you from others, it fortifies you within yourself. You are stronger than you've ever been, not in physical appearance, but in spiritual posture. You stand taller in rooms because your spirit has been trained to stand. You speak softer, but your words strike deeper. You do less, but your impact multiplies. That's divine transformation, quiet, unshakable, sovereign. And with this transformation comes responsibility. You've been chosen for a reason. Your words hold weight now. Your presence carries charge. What you post, what you say, how you move, it all matters, because others are watching, not just with eyes, but with souls. They feel something when you speak. They sense something when you enter. They're drawn not to your looks or talents, but to your oil. And that oil was expensive. It cost you tears, years, silence, sacrifice. That's why not everyone can understand you now. You're not better than anyone, but you're different from many. You live with a different awareness. You move with a different mission. And because of that, you'll have to say no to things others say yes to. You'll have to walk away from good things to make room for divine things. You'll have to disappoint people to stay loyal to purpose. But that's okay. You weren't called to be liked. You were called to be light. This light in you isn't just for your own success. It's for healing, guidance, breakthrough. When people come into contact with you, they'll feel a shift. Something will change in their mind, their heart, their energy, not because of you, but because of the one whose hand rests on you. You'll begin to recognize this responsibility, not as a burden, but as an honor. It is an honor to carry divine assignment. It is an honor to be chosen for impact. And because you've been faithful with little, now the increase begins. Increase of wisdom, increase of visibility, increase of flow, increase of clarity. The distractions are falling away. The confusion is clearing. You're beginning to see life through spiritual lenses now. You see what matters and what doesn't. You recognize truth beneath the noise. You spot deception before it touches you. That's because you're no longer operating in your old identity. You're walking in your divine inheritance. You'll begin to notice the power of your decisions. One yes from you can open heaven over someone else's life. One conversation can shift generations. One moment of courage can create legacy. You're no longer doing things just to survive. You're creating ripple effects in the unseen realm. That's what chosen ones do. They move differently because their movements are prophetic. Every step you take now is sowing in to something bigger than you. That's why protecting your peace is essential. You can't afford to be drained by things that no longer serve your mission. You're carrying too much. You've been trusted with too much. And now, more than ever, you must move with intentionality. Who you allow near you, what you consume, what you entertain. It all matters, because your atmosphere determines your altitude, and you're not living low anymore. You're being lifted, not by hype, but by heaven. Not by followers, but by favor. Not by marketing, but by mandate. You are no longer available for anything less than what God has declared over your life. And that declaration is final. That word is sealed. That promise is alive. This is your emergence. The moment where you stop second-guessing and start stepping forward. The moment where you stop asking for signs and start becoming one. The moment where you stop shrinking to be accepted and start expanding to be effective. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Your obedience is enough. Your presence is enough. Your alignment is enough. And when people ask how you did it, you'll simply say, I didn't. I surrendered. And the hand of God did the rest. Now that you've stepped into alignment, everything begins to accelerate. Not chaotically, but divinely. You'll feel it in your bones. This is not the end of something. This is the unveiling of what's been growing within you all along. You'll feel waves of deep gratitude for what once felt like pain, confusion, or loss. Because now you see it was all a part of your shaping. God's hand was never absent, only silent. And silence does not mean absence. It means protection. It means preparation. Every past version of you that doubted, broke, cried, screamed, or wanted to give up, they all carried you here. And now those versions have completed their purpose. You're not carrying them into the future. You're thanking them and letting them rest. The version of you rising now is light, unburdened, anchored, awakened. The weight you feel now is not heaviness. It's responsibility. It's purpose. It's glory. And the world will respond to you differently, not because they've changed, but because you have. You'll no longer need to fight for a place at the table. You are the table. You bring value, spirit, and presence wherever you go. People will sense the atmosphere shift when you enter. That's what happens when divine power rests quietly within someone who has been refined by truth. You won't need to raise your voice. Your alignment speaks louder than noise. There will be moments when you feel the pull to go back to the familiar. But remember this, the hand of God didn't bring you this far for comfort. He brought you here for calling. And that calling lives on the other side of every fear that once controlled you. But now, fear has no seat in your decisions. Doubt has no voice in your direction. The old patterns that used to sabotage you are now visible and powerless, because awareness is your armor now, and discernment is your shield. This version of you trusts, not blindly, but deeply. Not because everything is clear, but because you've finally made peace with not knowing every detail. Because you've seen what God can do in the dark. You've seen how He creates life out of what looks like ashes. You've seen how He restores what you thought was gone forever. That's why your faith no longer needs loud declarations. It shows in how you carry yourself, in how you treat people, in how you honor yourself. You're beginning to feel the sacred rhythm of your own life, a rhythm that doesn't mimic the world's pace, a rhythm that flows from within. You know now when to speak and when to listen, when to act and when to rest, when to stretch and when to surrender. This is spiritual maturity. It's the evidence that you're not just blessed, you're rooted. You're not just seen, you're sealed. And sealed people don't beg for access. They walk in through the doors, heaven opens, and they leave closed what isn't theirs. They don't try to resurrect what God buried. They don't panic when others don't see the vision. They know that God's hand doesn't need confirmation. It just needs obedience. You are one of those people now. You are trusted with time, with wisdom, with impact. Don't be surprised when the doors that used to intimidate you now feel small. Don't be surprised when things that once overwhelmed you now fall into place without resistance. That's not ego. That's transformation. It's what happens when the inner world becomes stronger than the outer storm. You've built from within. Now the world is responding to that architecture. You were chosen not because you were the loudest, the smartest, or the strongest, but because you were the one who stayed, the one who listened, the one who kept getting back up, the one who chose the narrow path, the quiet road, the unseen obedience. And now heaven is responding. The wind is at your back. The oil is flowing. The provision is unlocked. The people are coming. The space is clearing. You don't need to rush. You don't need to strive. You're already there. Not because you've arrived at some final destination, but because you're fully present, fully aligned, fully surrendered. And in that state, you attract the next chapter without even chasing it. From this moment forward, you will not live from scarcity. You will not operate from fear. You will not beg for understanding. You are walking with a quiet authority. Not because you have all the answers, but because you are anchored in the one who does. You've outgrown your old life. You've completed the chapter of becoming. Now begins the chapter of walking it out, unapologetically, faithfully, and fully. Go forward, chosen one. The world has no idea what God's hand is about to reveal through you.